Good morning, and to our friends joining us abroad, good evening. Welcome to a very special Mirage Talks, our first ever getting a live experience at the Light Festival in Copenhagen. We bring to you Maya's walking tours in Copenhagen. Maya Fortune, Maya, thank you so much. We are so excited to get started.
Thank you so much, Kirsty. I just moved the camera to me. Hi, everyone. And I'm very, very happy to be here with you tonight. Thank you to Mirage Talks for inviting me for this beautiful evening. I thought it was a great opportunity to show you Copenhagen tonight together with the Light Festival because it's a kind of a unique event that happens only once a year during the month of February. And I'm going to turn the camera very, very soon, and I'm going to show you the city. We're going to walk on the streets together. I know it's not something that you're usually doing here on Mirage Talk, so I'm happy to give you something a bit unique, a unique experience of a virtual guided tour together with me. And maybe you'll fall in love in Copenhagen and want to come and see it here in reality after those 45 minutes we're going to spend here together. So thank you very much. I want to introduce myself. My name is Maya. I've been owning Maya's walking tour since 2018. And during Corona, the world was closed and we couldn't guide anymore. And one bright morning, I just decided to go out with my phone, broadcast live and show everybody Copenhagen. And it became a big success. And I ended up broadcasting more than 250 virtual tours. And that was one of those things that explode without my expectations. And it was super, super successful and with a lot of great feedbacks. So here we are today continuing, even though we are way past over the Corona times and we're open and happy. But it's really nice that we can still use this tool and show you around of Copenhagen here. So I'm going to turn the camera now and I'm going to show you where we are. We're right in the middle of the very, very, very famous walking street of Copenhagen, one of the longest walking street, pedestrian streets in Europe. Right now it's closed. It's 9 at night. The shops are not open very, very late here in Copenhagen. But we're going to start to walk through the streets and see all the sculptures and the installations of the Light Festival while I'm telling you a little bit of history about the city and about Copenhagen. So probably most of you know that Copenhagen is the capital of Denmark, founded in 1167 by Archbishop called Absalon. Absalon was sent here, right here where I'm standing now, to form a city with the purpose of protecting Denmark. Denmark had the Vikings for 300 years. And once the Vikings are not here, we need somebody to come here and protect the city. And that's why Absalon came here. And that's why Copenhagen was founded. In Danish, we don't say Copenhagen, we say Copenhagen. Kopman is a merchant, to kobe is to buy, and havn is a harbor. So we are here at the harbor of merchants, and this is the name of the city, Copenhagen. And we're right by the water. We're going to see the water very, very soon in a couple of minutes. And right here, we see the first installation of today. The Light Festival is celebrating, this year is the 10th year in a row of having the Light Festival in February. The purpose of the Light Festival is to put some light and creativity in those very, very dark, cold nights of Copenhagen. The winter starts here quite early from October. And when we get to February, we're already super fed up with the winter and we just want it to be finished and waiting for the summer. So the Light Festival gives us a bit of light and hope in those dark days. And there are over 60 installations, actually. We're going to see 8 to 9 of them tonight. And I chose the ones that I thought are kind of like unique and telling a story, and can also tell you a little bit more about Copenhagen from that perspective. So here we see a disco light in a heart shape, and it's turning around and it's using some very strong projectors that gives it some nice reflection. And this installation was created by a group of female English artists called Vertigo. They are light designers, and they decide to create this with the message of unity and love. When you go to the disco and you dance with strangers, you don't think, who is that person? You just love everybody, right? So the purpose of this installation is to give this disco feeling of love and unity in those in those dark cold nights. So this is our first installation, and it's located right in the super center of Copenhagen, in an area called Højbro Plads. Høj is high, and Bro is a bridge. And here, Absalon, right here on the horse, I know it's very dark, but I hope you can see a little bit, is creating Copenhagen by building a bridge into an island. And on that island, he builds a castle. And that castle is the first fortification of this city. Very soon, we're going to cross this bridge from the other angle and see what is on that island today, which is, of course, not just a fortification castle, but just actually a very, very big palace that is the Parliament of Denmark today. Right now, we're going to walk to the right, and I know it's quite dark, and we're walking on an area called Gamel Strand, which is the old beach, the old line of the water. And here, there are few installations, one beside the other, for the Light Festival, created in collaboration with Aalborg University. Aalborg University is a university 5 hours north drive from Copenhagen, and the students of Aalborg University are the only ones in the world, actually, that can do a BA in lighting design. There is no other country in the world that offers lighting design as a degree, only Denmark. So the students of Aalborg University have created some of these different installations. It's an international degree. So we have students from Australia and from Mexico, from Italy, from Denmark, from the Netherlands, etc., etc. And this is what we see here. The motto or the theme of those installations is the future. And for example, this installation created by two young ladies is called Eternity. And it's trying to show us the connection between time, space, and light. And that's this installation. If you want to read more about the Copenhagen Light Festival, you can, of course, Google it and see the different descriptions of the different artists. Follow them on Instagram and see what they're doing generally as a creativity and under creativity. And, you know, there some of them are light designers, some of them are just creating installations, some of them are working in the theater and they're doing those special things for this particular event. So it's a very, very special thing. The Light Festival is created by an association, a non-profit association that was founded only for that purpose of this Light Festival, which is about 3 weeks during February. And it's, as I said, it's a non-profit activity, and it's meant especially to lighten up those dark nights. I don't know if you can see, but up in the sky, there is a laser beam moving around here. Now they're coming up again. Here are the laser beams. And this is another installation called White Beams. And it's starting from the tower of the City Hall of Copenhagen. Those beams are 11 beams in total. They're moving around. And each one is directed towards a unique location that has a very specific history in Copenhagen. And the reason they've chosen those specific 11 ones is because this year, since the 17th of January 2023, Copenhagen is officially the architecture capital of the world, as decided by the headquarters of UNESCO. Because of that, we're going to have lots of events and activities and lectures and conventions. There's going to be a very big architecture convention in July, and lots of different talks and tours and podcasts, etc., over 300 events in total for this year celebration of Copenhagen as the architecture center of the world. The reason the Danish architecture is so famous is because it is very, very sustainable. It's very futuristic. It's quality of design and production is in the future. It's not in present time. It's amazing, and it's something that the world can really learn from. And this is the purpose of this decision, is to get other countries and architectures, companies, etc., to learn from the Danish quality of architecture and design. It's very dark here. We are walking along the water, which is part of the old strand of Copenhagen. And soon we're going to see the next installation. Maybe you've already noticed the quiet and a little bit of the darkness in the streets. There is a word for it in Danish, and it's called hygge. And hygge is this very cozy atmosphere that the Danes really, really like. You know, you don't see bright colors. You don't see very strong lights. You see it's all very dimmed and low lights coming out of the windows and the houses. And this is the hygge atmosphere, which is a cozy, comfy, pleasant, not stressful at all. The Danes don't like to be stressed, you know. It's not fun to be stressed. If we would walk here to the right, we'll enter the old area of Copenhagen. We're not going to do that now, but these are the small little cozy streets of Copenhagen, the old streets, the cobblestones, the old wooden houses that created Copenhagen in the Middle Ages. And that's what we see now. We're getting closer to our next installation. You know, Denmark is not very big. It's 130 in the list of how the big, you know, the sizes of countries in the world. So it's rather small. It's about 16,000 square miles. I know in America you use miles. In here we use kilometers. In kilometers is about 43,000 square kilometers. Really, really small. But it's mainly made out of islands. It's 433 islands in total, and only 100 out of them are manned. People inhabit. And here is our next installation. I'm just going to show it to you now. I don't know if you can see the little sparkles coming up on the screen. You see a little bit. And it's called Fragments of Reality, created by Alessandro Leppi, who is an Italian artist. I'm going to try and walk around a bit and see if I can give you a better view of it. I know the camera is kind of trying to catch it. You see a little bit of blinks coming up, right? There are actually hundreds of small round mirrors here that are reflecting the light from the street lights, from the natural lights here. Now you can see it a little bit better. Now you can see it a bit more. The purpose of this installation is to create something without electricity at all. So it's using no electricity whatsoever, only the lights from the street. It's actually also fitting in the daylight, because in the daylight, those little round mirrors, they capture the light as well. So it's beautiful 24/7. And it's one of my favorite ones. I actually really like the purpose of the artist to convey different realities that we're not necessarily used to see on our everyday, and try to give us a different viewpoint on the world through this installation. If you wonder why is everything so calm, is because, you know, the Danes, they are very minimalistic, and they do things in a very minimalistic but very high quality fashion. So things are not very grandiose in Europe or in Denmark, especially. I don't know, probably the rest of Europe the same, but I think it's very, very unique for Denmark how things are done in a minimalism. You know, a little bit similar to maybe the Japanese culture, you could even say, or the Eastern culture. Here to the right, we see this big house, and this is the National Museum. This is the National Museum of Denmark. There is some very unique exhibitions about the Vikings. You know, the Vikings, the word Vik means a bay. The Vikings used to settle on fjords, on bays, and from there go out to their excursions. And this house used to be the prince's castle, because the prince, before he became king, obviously, had to have a place to live. And this is where Frederick V, while he was the prince, lived until the days he became the king. Today, no royal family lives here, but it still has its very unique grand hall where a prince and a princess could go to a big royal dance and have a great fun. Today is the National Museum, which is quite fantastic, actually. And now I'm going to show you another installation. If you can see the light, which is called Dancing on Water. And there are some laser lights. I'll try to come a little bit closer because with the camera, it's a bit too far. Just a second. I'm going to come a bit near. Here we go. That's a bit more colorful and big, as you can see. And there are actually two laser lights here. And those two laser lights are mixing together. You know, it takes two to tango. That's the message of this installation. You can see there is a little wall here with two projectors, and they project different lights. Here on the water, you can see the two different lights right now. And then they go right under a bridge, which is the Marble Bridge, and over the wall, the outer wall of the Danish Parliament. And here we are dancing on water, and it's moving around in a way that creates like motion, and also the colors and the wall and the water kind of connect together through light. And these are the two elements that are kind of being created together like that here. Dancing on Water, created by a Dutch-Danish artist called Arthur Waardezang, a very Dutch name. We continue and we move further, and while we're going to walk actually onto the Marble Bridge into the area of the Parliament. When Absalon founded Copenhagen in 1167, he came here, he built his castle, and he decided that he has to warn the enemies. How am I going to warn the enemies that they should not come near the Danes? You know, the Vikings are not here, but we are still here, and nobody should come near me. So what he did, Absalon, he was still a Viking-style warrior. He decided to basically cut people's heads. So he cut people's heads and he put them on a stick, and he hangs those sticks around the island. So anytime a pirate tries to just come near his home, he sees some hanging heads around, and that was the end of coming close to Copenhagen. You know, this was the beginning of this island. Here there is a huge area which is the stalls of the royal horses. The reason I'm coming here because there is another nice installation here called Dancing Trees, and we're gonna go in and near it. It's a very, very big space. It's the only place in the world where the three authorities are sitting together. You know, the Prime Minister's office, the Supreme Court, and the Parliament. The three of them are here under one roof. It also shows how the Danes are able to calmly negotiate and talk with each other. You never see here, you know, too much aggressiveness here when it comes to politics. Quite interesting. Very, very easygoing country. And here we go. These dancing trees are a collection of small videos, short videos of pine trees from the forests around Denmark. And the reason it's here right now is because the theater court inside, here is the theater court, is being renovated. It's a building from 1730s, 300 years old building. The roof of this building is made of pine trees. And in order to show us the process of preservation, construction of this theater court, the installation is presenting us with the short clips of different trees from the beautiful forests of Denmark. And just so you know, this festival is about to end on the 26th of February. So it's a very, very temporary thing. The one who created this installation is called Tina Beck, who is a Danish light artist. We try to connect history with light, with the location, try to tell the story of the place through nature. So I think she put a lot of elements together in one place, and it's very, very interesting to see how she did it. I don't know if you've watched, there is a very, very successful Danish TV serial on Netflix called Borgen, which means the citizen, or in Danish, they call it the government. In the Hebrew, sorry, they call it the government. Borgen was filmed here. If you haven't seen it, it's very successful political TV serial about a new female, the first ever female prime minister in Denmark. The funny thing was, is when the serial was created, there was never a female prime minister here yet. A year later, she was elected for real for the first time. So the TV serial was quite predicted the future, and it was a big success. The Danes are very proud of it, and most of it was filmed here in this square. So if you like political TV and you want to watch something a bit more different and not American, in Danish, of course, with English subtitles, then I would highly recommend you to try and see Borgen. Now we're going to go left and continue our way, and we're going to come closer to the Danish Architecture Center. And there are a few installations there we're going to see one after the other. If we would go straight here and continue forward, we would get to the very famous amusement park called Tivoli. Tivoli is the third oldest amusement park in the world. 1843, it was founded by a businessman and a military man called Georg Carstensen. And it was a huge success. Hans Christian Andersen, the author, who is Danish, if you haven't known that yet, was there at the opening night, and together with other, you could say the 19th century celebs. And the motto of Georg Carstensen was Tivoli never ends, which is true. Tivoli never ends. Every year there is a new creativity, new roller coaster, new ride, new idea, new show, new concert, new stage. Super creative, super fun, lots of flowers in the summer, an amazing Christmas market in the winter. So it's a great place for all ages. Kids can enjoy the games, and adults can enjoy a great cup of coffee in the gardens. It's really nice. The Tivoli Gardens, of course, named after the Tivoli Gardens in Rome. Right, 1951, Walt Disney visited in Tivoli Gardens, and that inspired him to open Disney World. So just so you know, the origin is here in Denmark, the origin of Disney World, and you're welcome and come and visit it. Another American who loved Tivoli was Michael Jackson. He was here twice, and he loved it so much that in one of his concerts in Copenhagen, he celebrated his birthday, and as a surprise gift, the guards of Tivoli came on stage and marched together with a huge birthday cake in the shape of Tivoli Gardens. So Tivoli was very popular, still is very popular. It's the 5th most successful amusement park in the world today. Now we continue straight. To our right are the old warehouses, military warehouses. Today there are all kinds of offices, government offices as well, and the private companies. The king used to store his weapon here, because here to the left there used to be a hidden dock. In this dock, the king in the 17th century, called Christian IV, one of the biggest kings in the history of Denmark, was hiding his navy, the boats, the war boats, behind a brewery. The Danes love beer. Not everybody knows that the Danes love beer. So the king decided to build a brewery right here. That's this big building in front of us that you can probably not see so well. And behind the brewery was hiding the navy. So when the Swedish enemy come ahead from the water, the Danish navy could surprise them. Who would think that somebody would want to use a brewery to use as a war tool, you know? Only in Denmark you use beer to fight. But that succeeded pretty well. Many wars the Danes lost, actually, but specifically afterwards they managed to win at the end and get Denmark back into some good condition after some bad battles. There was a very bad history, you know. For more than 400 years the Danes and the Swedish were fighting. And here we go. We are getting now close, and we're nearly there. I'm going to come, of course, closer so you can see a little bit more the details of our next installation. The Danish Architecture Center is relatively new. It's called Blocks. Ironically, it was created by a Dutch architecture company and not a Danish, but the building hosts the Danish Architecture Center. It also hosts the Design Center, a gym, very fancy apartments are here on the rooftop, playground, shop, a cafe, and few more things. And right here on the wall of the Danish Architecture Center, there is a installation called Hook Up. Yes, and it was created by Igor Halicki, who is a Polish light designer based in Copenhagen. Igor wanted to create a series of visualizations, and each one of them represents a continent. And the pixels in those visualizations are showing the use of electricity in those continents. So it's a bit like an artistic way to measure how much electricity is being used in each continent in the world. Quite interesting. And very, very, very aesthetic, actually, full of colors and creation. He's a trained light designer based in Copenhagen, and he loves to work with interactive and code-based visualization. So it's using coding, it's using algorithms to create this artistic model. Now we're going to go down. And the next installation is actually in the next minus floor of the Architecture Center. They're not working? No, they're working. Here. Now we're going down the basement. This is the entrance of the Architecture Center. I hope it's open. It doesn't look like. If it's not, we go around. Does look like, right? It looks like it's closed for the moment. We can go around from the other side. Up there. Oh, okay, we go from the other side. Now you saw the entry. U-turn. That's how it's like in virtual tours, you know, you kind of like walk around. It says in here, it says to be open until 10. So maybe we can walk in from the other side. Now you see a bit better the weapon storage houses in front of me. The low yellow homes with the old windows. You know, one of the things Copenhagen is very, very famous in is building preservations. A lot of the apartment buildings even in Copenhagen are here to be preserved and kept the way they are. They're not allowed to change them, to destroy them, to modify them in any way. And any change that is done in those apartments needs to get special permission, especially the outer part of the building. So it's a quite intense bureaucracy that one has to get through to make those changes. And that's because in the past, they used to destroy some very important buildings, and then they decided that they're not going to allow that anymore to happen. So they created a very, very tough set of rules that won't allow those changes. So I'm going to show you another installation, and then we're going to go back and try and see the ones in the basement here floor behind the Architecture Center. Across the street. And then I'm going to give you some time to ask me questions. If you have any questions about anything, Copenhagen and Denmark and anything that you might think of, you're welcome to write them down and remember them, because we're going to have 5-10 minutes for this too, so you can ask those questions. Next minimalistic but gorgeous installation is coming here in the bridge called Lille Langbro, and it's called Water Walk. A little bit of history again. There are two main bridges to Copenhagen. One here that you cannot see behind here in the darkness, called Langebro. Lange is long, and Bro is a bridge. And on the left, a bit more full of light, is the Knippelsbro. Knippel is the oldest bridge in Copenhagen. Today, Copenhagen is a capital of bicycle. You know, the cyclists, there are more cyclists, there are more bicycles in Copenhagen than people. We have about 600 people living in Copenhagen and 650,000 bicycles. Only 120,000 cars though. So that means that bicycles need very, very high infrastructure in Copenhagen. And this bridge was built to take down the load from the main bridges, so bicycles and pedestrians can use it. Cars are not allowed on this bridge. The water walk is, as you can see, colors of blue and green to make us feel like we're walking into water. The water are here under the bridge. So now we took the water, we put them on top of the bridge, and we're walking on water. And it's a bit of creativity created by a group of Danish artists called Studio Tokyo, if I'm remembering right. Tokyo Blue, that's their name. Tokyo Blue. It's a group of 5-6 Danish light designers who participate every year in the Light Festival, and as well this year, of course. So this is the water walk on the Lille Langbro. You can see here the bicycles crossing the bridge very safely and very nicely, because it's a capital for the bicycles. Lots of bike lanes, very pleasant experience if you like to bike. You should give it a try here. Denmark is very flat, you know, so it's very easy to bike here. There are no uphills, downhills. The highest point in the whole of Denmark is 170 meters above sea level. So no mountains at all whatsoever. A little bit of hills, you know, here and there, and that's it. And that's the end of it. Now we are walking on a deck along the water of the Danish Architecture Center. I told you there is a gym here. The beautiful, beautiful displays. Now there is something about the future and the space and future architecture. One of the last things they've done here was an exhibition called the Women in Architecture, about women architects who did marvelous things in the world of architecture. We're going to walk down here the stairs to see if we can get to see the last installation, and then there is a bit of light there, so you can see me, and then you can also ask me some questions. Let's see, it should be here on the wall, and it's supposed to be open until 10. And you can see here a little bit inside of the museum. They also have a section with the Danish design items, and very, very diverse what they show here in the Architecture Center. Let's see if we can see it from here. If not, then it's done for today. It looks like. It said it was in the -2. It was supposed to be here on the wall. Okay. So now I'm available for questions. Here I am. Hi, everybody. I hope you liked it. And what do you think about Copenhagen so far? I know it was quite dark, but still it's a bit unique and different to experience the city from this angle. So I'm really, really hoping you like this short but thorough. Yes,
Well,
any questions?
That was really amazing, Maya. I can't wait to go to Copenhagen now. So
Great. That's the purpose, you know, to make you fall in love a little bit in this amazing city.
And we did have some questions that were sent to the message board. One, it says, do you also do in-person tours of Copenhagen? And if yes, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
First of all, yes, of course. The best way to get in touch with me is via my WhatsApp or via my Facebook page. You can find me on Maya's Walking Tours in Hebrew and English, and contact me on Messenger, or via my phone number. I can write down on the chat box so you can have it. I just have to turn the thing around.
Perfect.
And I can write my phone number here.
Excellent.
And of course, you're welcome to write me, ask me questions. This is what I'm here for.
Perfect. And we have another. Oh, that's great. Perfect. It says, do you have a lights installation that creates an illusion of a structure or building? It doesn't look, also, it doesn't look like you have a homeless issue. Any insights?
Interesting questions. There are some installations that are creating more shapes and more like motion, like waves and triangles, and trying to give more like more lines, if I can say it like that kind of not exactly buildings, but do give this idea of more architecture. So there are some other installations, of course. And regarding the homeless, it's true. Denmark is a very, very socialistic country, which means that there are funds and there is money to cover the problem of homeless people. And if you see homeless in Copenhagen, you know they are there because they chose to be there. The government offers very, very long variety of solutions for homeless people. So it's not like, there is always a place for them to sleep. It's also a very, very, very cold country, usually in the winter time. So it's not easy to be on the streets for too long. So there are some solutions for that.
That's great. And we have a lot of people sending to the message board how much they appreciated your time and the history facts, and also just being able to enjoy Copenhagen at night. It was really
nice.
Cool tour. Does anybody else have any questions? Unmute yourself and ask Maya directly.
I'm here now. Use the chance. The best time to come to Copenhagen is, from May, June till August, September, I'd say. So if you're considering coming over, I would recommend doing it in the summertime. As I said before, we have very, very long summer days. We can have daylight until 10, 11, and you can enjoy the summer nights. And it's not too hot, but it's still lovely and warm. And as we are all mainly islands, we have a lot of sandy beaches and, really, really nice swimming areas. Copenhagen, I couldn't really show it to you now in the dark, but there are 8 swimming areas just along the harbor here in Copenhagen. The water are very, very clean here. So you are allowed to swim in the water, in the tunnels of the city, which is quite fantastic also.
That sounds amazing. Before we close, does anybody have any questions for Maya? All right. Well, on behalf of Paul Mirage and the Mirage Institute, Maya, thank you for such an exciting Mirage Talk. This was very, very special. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you to you too. Thank you so much, Ellie and Kirsti. Thank you very much for tonight. And thank you everybody for joining.
Till next week. Bye.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye. Goodbye, everybody.